Or I mean, even today, right? There was not really a lot of sell-off, if per se, right? When you look at the, I'm on 30 minutes here. Let me switch. So you had this gap. Somebody go mute. You had this gap up and we came back and filled it, right? We came back and filled it. So now this becomes a pivotal level. When you just look at the structure of the market, this becomes a big level because otherwise you're going to be searching where the value was prior to that. So you have a little bit of consolidation here. And this is the 52.40 level that we have marked. So we'll kind of hide it here so you guys can see it. So this was our Thursday access low, and I think we're somewhere around here now. I don't know. I believe we're below 74. But anyways, this Thursday access low is really what they have to hold in terms of bulls, right? But then right below this, do you guys remember these two levels, 52.65 to 52.60, and what they are?
Yeah, that's the single print zone that pushed us up on the 17th.
That's correct. So does everybody have that on their chart and know what it means? Is there anyone that doesn't? Okay, so let me show it here. It should come up here any second. I'm not sure why it's taking. There it goes. All right, give it a second.
Shorty, would you still keep in mind that 5.257.25? That was like the breakout level from the middle of March that originally took us up to all-time highs, and then we broke back down, and then the single prints are this second comeback up.
This one here?
Yeah, 5.257 from March. We originally tapped it March 8th, and then we finally broke through it March 20th.
So this was our high, right? Yeah, this was our high back then, 52.55, right? You cracked above it, you bounced a few times here in this area. So I mean, you can, right? But the key point from the auction standpoint is when you zoom in here, right? I'll just. Oh my God, this kills me when I have to zoom in a lot. So this day here, so we had the 3-day balance, which was kind of the POCs right here at 52.45-ish or something like that. Right here at 45, right? So if you look at this, this was the balance that we had on 3 days. And from this balance, obviously, we had some emotional buying that occurred. I think it was J or K period, K. In K period. And this is basically the zone that they have to kind of hold about right here. Above 52.60. As long as they're staying above this, they're trying to build the value in the upper portion here. So if you turn on your weekly here, you'll see what I mean by that. So right now, this orange line is all the price action that happened here on the weekly. So we spent 3 weeks above this level here, which is, when you think about it, that's pretty good, right? You spend 3 weeks building value and you never cracked low. So there's a possibility here, right, that they come to this level and we get another defense, right? Even though this will look like we're cracking this, but this was mainly driven by that Thursday outside day. The high and the low was driven by this. And today we have some major, I would say, market generated information, and then we'll get to the daily in a second, but there's a poor high and a poor low, right? And when you look at the weekly chart here, right, on this one, is there anything that's telling right here?
Double distribution with the singles prints in the middle.
I mean, this is as simple as it gets. If you're able to kind of go above this, you're most likely gonna visit, somewhere around here. And if you go on the daily, kind of goes all the way up to here, 306. If you're able to go above 306, right, there's a high chance that you're going to be continue trading in here, and most likely you're going to be testing these, excess highs, or if you want to say this value area high, of the prior week. And you can easily find, where is the 3-week balance that we're looking for, and you'll be getting somewhere 53.46 that you'd be after. And you see the value area lowest here, on the first sig of the 3 weeks. So that becomes fairly important. And this was our level. If you guys go back on Sunday, 53.0975 was our level, very bearish below. I don't know if you guys recall, but they executed that really nicely, and they brought in the emotional sellers or initiative, and they brought it down. So now, we filled this gap pretty much, almost to a penny here on Thursday. They're going to fight in this range here. This is going to be, a level that they want to hold above. If they lose this, let's say they lose 52.60, I would expect them to hit 45 here very, very quickly here. It wouldn't be much debate, in this area, in my opinion. And then below that, you will have this VPOC on the weekly here. I would mark this one here. I'll probably do something like this. Trying to put it outside there. So this would be the next level that you're after in terms of bigger picture, right? But these are your weekly levels, and you see, even if I maybe increase this a little bit. So now just look at this chart, and I'll just hide a bunch of crap. I guess hide drawings. Okay. So if we reject this value area, and let's say we don't bounce at this level, where should they go next? Where's the next value?
I mean, 50, 40?
5,200?
I mean, you would have this 51 level. Remember, we had this here, 51.49, all the way to the bottom of 4991. This was a 3-week balance. Remember, this was the break that we had. It was kind of unusual the way they broke out of this, right? It wasn't really aggressive, but I think this was triggered mainly by a gap, right? So now, you have a little bit of a gap in between as well. So most likely, if they can't sustain this, if they can't hold the value up here, they're going to be looking some hold up here, 52.11 or so. And then you have this major, major value that we had on that huge dip where we consolidated, where a lot of people went short. And then we bounced out of it. So it might not be a bad retest to come here and find it. And now if you're to merge this one and this one with volume profile, you would most likely get what shape? Multiple distributions, mainly driven by double with many little nodes in between, like this one here that we marked, by this VPOC that we marked, and then you have some on the bottom. But 5100 would be the next level of interest that we're looking for. So you couldn't hold above here. Ultimately, you're going to go to these levels, play bounces, and ultimately you're looking for this and the bottom of this range, right? So I would find the top of this range right here on the weekly. Let me shift here. So something like this, right? I would have this 51.55 because this is where the break came, and I would have this level as a retest of that range that we are in right here. Does that make sense? So if they can't hold this, this is 1, 2, 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3 weeks, and what happens typically on the 4th week? And go back and check. It's been mainly lately, how many weeks?
That's where they make the move. Is that
3 weeks.
having to do with the monthly candle?
Nah, I mean, it's just how eager they are, how they're moving. The month you're in, seasonality, you're in May. Most of the big boys are about to go on vacations, right? So they're trying to manipulate it, right? Get it to the price where they're comfortable selling, and there's a lot of comfort selling at the top, right, above all-time highs. So, okay. So tomorrow, if you're looking at the data on 30 minutes, let's just kind of switch this guy here. Let's do this, hide this. You guys okay on the weekly? you see this clear double distribution. This is a compressed B. This is not an elongated B-shaped profile, right? This is just a tiny range. It's not very massive like this one here. So within the balance of 3 weeks, we really haven't cracked anything yet, if that makes sense, right? Don't be very bearish yet. Nothing happened. Okay. Let me bring up this thing. All right, well, here's the daily profile. Did anyone struggle trading today? I honestly thought it was probably one of the easier days compared to some of the weeks we've had before.
Yeah, I actually just got stopped out because I put my stop too close. Other than that, all my trades went super smooth.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I thought it was a very simple day, honestly, and we called out, I would say, probably over 10 trades today. I got stopped on 2 of them, but nothing major in terms of losses. So it was a pretty good day overall for me, and I think some of the other people actually made bank. So in terms of profile, you have a poor high, meaning that we want to resolve this. And I would say in terms of distribution, it looks like almost a little bit of a skew on the D shape. It's really not a B-shaped sell-off. So, and then you have a poor low, and let me check where we are after hours, right? And if you check for spike, I don't know if we actually spiked or not. It might have. No. So, I mean, they had a little bit of M selling here below the L period and the B, and then they went after hours, obviously, below the A period, but we don't really care about this one too much. So in terms of market and generate information, what do you guys see that you could use?
I would say a look for a reclaim of like 68.50.
68.50.
That was the gap start.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, what level are you on?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Just because we're at 65 right now, I'm looking for a defend in the single print zone.
Okay.
And then hopefully a reclaim of that gap start that initially brought us all the way up.
Yep. I would say, let me see, where are we after hours? I'm just going to switch to regular candles for a moment. Oh, we're right here. So we need to regain the Thursday level. I would say we need to be above that level here. As long as we hold this level, you cannot be bearish. But to turn bullish, you really need to reclaim this level. If you do, most likely you're gonna get the poor low, and then you'll be targeting the poor high here. I'm just gonna delete this level because it's no longer true. Does that make sense? And then if we lose the 60, I would potentially short this all the way to 46.15 points. I would look for that. And then below this, you have about 30 something points down. But we're still in balance. Don't get too excited. And if they don't break this overnight, this is not a bad long for overnight here. Yeah, I mean, this is selling off on no volume here. Okay. Any questions on ES? Is it fairly simple, straightforward? Keep in mind, we're in D-shaped profile on the weekly. Tomorrow's Thursday. It's a shortened week, remember. We didn't have Monday. So a lot of these violent moves can occur to rebalance the inventory fast.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is there a way that I can determine the D profile day ahead of time, or?
You can in terms of probabilities and how we open, right? If you're opening within the value area, right, and your IB is staying contained, meaning that you're within the IB and you're not breaking, there's probably 90% chance or higher you're going to have a D shape.
Okay, so I should wait for that first hour.
You can, but there's a lot of indication where you open, right? If you're opening within the value area or prior day, you don't really have to wait. Because that means that they're happy that you're most likely going to play the extremes, and when you're playing the extremes, that means short-term people are inside, and they're going to short the tops, buy the bottoms. And that sets up. And once you see that an extension occurred, that you're breaking below, let's say IBL or going above IBH, that's indicating that somebody else stepped in and the auction changed the sentiment, something occurred. So I typically watch where do we open, and within the IB, if you see that you have, let's say, a medium range, and you're noticing that, like for instance, for today on ES, was there any extensions? Did you guys see any major moves today?
No.
Like, here's your IB for today.
Just a gap overnight, and then kind of slowly went up, and then came down and slowly went up. It was kind of boring, but very predictable, I thought.
Very predictable, but very boring, and some would even call this sideways. Right? I mean, not much, guys. We didn't have a lot of points when you think about it. Like, there's a lot of wicks. You held the 50 for the most part, and then you lost the 50 at 4 o'clock, and then the sell-off after hours, right? So today was, I would say, a perfect D shape, right? Considering you had the gap down, and then, you know, you could probably keep an eye on that gap fill and see what happens, right? But I can write up some stuff in a PowerPoint for on the day types. And how can you tell potentially the next day what's coming?
Thank you.
I'll add a few points there.
Yeah, it'd be really helpful. Thank you.
So we have to hold 60 for bulls. Ideally, I would say get inside this poor low. For me, I think if you can get inside the poor low, you have a high chance to, you know, kind of go opposite direction and go across the value here. So if you can do this, I would say this is doable, which is not bad. It's the whole range of today, right? I think it's a fairly straightforward setup. So,
sorry, I remember you had said something about if we lost like this certain level, I think it was around 530 on SPY, that you'd look at like a stock scan for maybe like longer dated puts. Is that still something that we could do over the weekend maybe?
Yeah, we can. Well, this weekend I can do it on Sunday just because we're going camping with the kids. I won't have my PC on me. But I think we had Qs, or was it SPY? I think it was SPY. Might be right. Let me check. I'll find it. I think we had a level somewhere for SPY. That looks really bad, though. This looks like a abandoned baby island top altogether here. This looks pretty bad. I would expect buyers to show up here. Let me see if we crack this. Oh man, this is a really good setup potentially for a long, guys. Do you guys know what this typically leads to? Are you guys seeing me draw boxes and then they give you a little test?
Oh,
this
yeah.
one here, and then they dip below, and then they. This is a typical move in the market that they like. They're on your stops, you get out, you go short, and they're like, okay, we'll go reverse.
Yeah, ain't that kind of like almost a head and shoulders setting up? So that would be like what they want you to think you're going to do, and then yeah, like you said, take a completely opposite direction.
Yep. And this is called a market maker pattern or a spring on the bottom, right? On the top, it's creeks. Here's a spring. So,
they got inflation data Friday morning.
Oh, I didn't know that.
GDP tomorrow.
Oh, GDP's tomorrow, but in the PCE Friday.
I believe so.
Yeah, personal income and outlays Friday, Chicago PMI Friday, and then tomorrow's GDP, jobless, international.
Is this all before open or not?
Oh, those three before. Oh, here, I'll send it. Those three are before open.
Oh. Well, if we hold this, let's say if you're able to crack above the 67 high here, I would say above this, let me give you a zone. If you're able to crack this tonight, I would look for a buy opportunity to drive this higher. Typically what they've done on these news binary events is they actually ran it up every single time. So, and I'm not trying to predict it, but I'll have a stop right below 60, let's say 59. I give them 6 points. And if they're crazy as they've been, I mean, I'll take a poor high revisit from 60s, 34 points for 6 points loss.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if GDP is strong, they will run it higher. Static economy is good. If it is bad, they will run it higher. Static yields will
Exactly.
come down.
They're not going to change the behavior. I think they're not done selling their inventory yet. But let's see. Everything's about 52.60. If you lose this 52.60, we're expecting this. And I would say ultimately, you want to know the bottom of this value that we've been running up, and it seems to be around 5,100.
Yeah.
And when you look at this market, right, when you just zoom out, like really large time scale, right? Let's see on 7 days and hide this so you guys don't see it. From here to, let's say here, to me, that looks like a box in my eyes. Like, I'm not saying it's right, it's wrong. But to me, from here, let's say, to here, this looks like a perfect little range that they're creating. So maybe a revisit 49.65, get people excited, dip below on larger time frame, and then we go higher. All right, so let's see how they play it out, right? And any news is good news, seems like, or bad news or good news or better news. And I don't play binary events too much, right? But I'm willing to see what they do overnight tonight, especially if they can crack this level here. Ideally, if I can catch an entry close to 52.60, especially if they do this, this would be an A+. Or you could wait here, but I prefer to take it here. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I'll be on live tomorrow. I'll trade live, and we'll go from there. I'll add those points, KJ, to the PowerPoint for all of you guys, at least how to tell. And when I say how to tell, I mean, this is not guaranteed that I know what type of day we're going to have, but at least you would have an idea of what to expect, if that makes sense. Like you would watch for, does it check this box, this, and then increases the probabilities on what type of day you would have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shorty.
So I'll write that up tonight as soon as these ninjas are asleep, actually.
Thanks, Shorty.
All right, guys. Have a good night. See you. Bye-bye.
You too, man.